Hello guys and welcome to our reading lesson. Today we're going to read a story which is called The Cab Ride I'll Never Forget. I'm going to use Cambridge Dictionary to look up some words and also Google Images to illustrate some interesting words for you. Don't forget that I prepared for you a file with 100 English phrases that are very hard to translate. So check it out, the link is in the description. The Cab Ride I'll Never Forget by Kent Nerburn. 20 years ago, I drove a cab for a living. One time I arrived in the middle of the night for a pickup at a building that was dark except for a single light in a ground floor window. So guys, here you do something for a living. That's a good phrase. It means you make a living, you earn money this way. Then it's a great phrase, in the middle of the night. You just learn it as it is and use it in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night. Except for, so everything was dark except for a single light, yeah? And then in a ground floor, that's a good one too. Ground floor is basically a British way of saying first floor, yeah? Under these circumstances, many drivers would just honk once or twice, wait a minute, then drive away. But I had seen too many impoverished people who depended on taxis as their only means of transportation. Unless a situation smelled of danger, I always went to the door. So here I would say that's a good phrase. Under these circumstances, it means in this situation, right? Many drivers would honk. Let's check that in a dictionary. Honk, right there. Honk. So it's basically to make that sound like a car, or as the dictionary says, a goose or a car that makes a short, loud sound. Honk. Then impoverished people. What kind of people are those? Impoverished. Let's check it in the dictionary. Impoverished. It's basically poor, yeah? Impoverished. Very poor, yeah. Then means of transportation, basically a bus or a plane, subway, those are means of transportation, okay? And then a situation smelled of danger. That's a good phrase here also to check. A situation smelled of danger. Next page. This passenger might be someone who needs my assistance, I reasoned to myself. So I walked to the door and knocked. Well, here I will highlight needs my assistance. It basically means needs my help. And then I reasoned to myself. I reasoned to myself, it means I explained myself. Why am I doing something? Yeah, or why am I acting a certain way? And then the word knocked. Notice that KN in the beginning of the word means that we don't pronounce that K. And let's check also one thing. So what kind of preposition we use with the verb knock? So when we Google it look it up in Cambridge Dictionary, you'll see that we have here what? She knocked on the window, or knocking on or at the door. So we use on and at. Just a minute, answered a frail elderly voice. Basically, elderly voice, that's like a voice of an old person, yeah? But what about the word frail? Let's check it in the dictionary. The word frail. Frail means very weak or unhealthy. So weak, old voice, basically, yeah? But those are just synonyms. I could hear something being dragged across the floor. After a long pause, the door opened. A small woman in her 80s stood before me. She was wearing a print dress and a pillbox hat with a veil pinned on it, like somebody out of a 1940s movie. By her side was a small nylon suitcase. So I'll highlight here a few words like a print dress, a pillbox hat with a veil, and also a nylon suitcase. And let's check them in the Google Images. So, a print dress. What is that? Let's see. So, a print dress would be something like this. Basically, the one that has some kind of floral design. Yeah, just like this one here. Floral design. Yeah, just like the one here we see. All right, and then a pillbox hat with a veil. I'll type it exactly that way. A pillbox hat, with a veil. Yep, right there. So a pillbox hat, it's the one like this one here, with a veil. That is a veil around it. Yeah, you can see that. Or maybe something like this. A pillbox hat with a veil. Yeah, that's the one. And the last one is a nylon suitcase. Let's check this one. Nylon suitcase. A nylon suitcase. All right, so that is the one. So it's probably made of some thick fabric, I guess. Nylon suitcase, that's the one, as you can see here in the picture. Let's move on. The apartment looked as if no one had lived in it for years. All the furniture was covered with sheets. There were no clocks on the walls, no knickknacks or utensils on the counters. In the corner was a cardboard box filled with photos and glassware. All right, so a few phrases here. Well, the word furniture, all the chairs, couches, sofas, tables, furniture, yeah? Then, knickknacks, that's an interesting word. So let's Google it here in Google Images and see what's that. So, knickknacks. Knickknacks. And guys, knickknacks are all kinds of souvenirs and all kinds of useless things, basically, that people keep, you know, on their shelves, you know, and those that are maybe they don't serve any practical value, but more like used for decoration. Yeah, knickknacks. Utensils, that is more practical. Utensils are all the tools we use in the kitchen. So these are all utensils here. And then the last one, counters. So those utensils were on the counters. Counters. What are the counters? Counters are basically those... No, that's not the one. We talk about kitchen counters. Counters in the kitchen. So that is a counter. Basically a tabletop, yeah, where we put things. Counters. And the last one, a cardboard box. A cardboard box. Well, many of you might say that, oh, it's carton box. No, the correct way would be to say a cardboard box. So that is a cardboard and that's the box. So cardboard box. And the last one, glassware. Glassware. So glassware, while utensils, that's like you know, stuff made of plastic or metal, but glassware in this case are all the glassy things, yeah, made of glass, like, you know, jars, jugs, glasses, and so on. So glassware. Would you carry my bag out to the car? She said. I took the suitcase to the cab, then returned to assist the woman. Well, only one thing to carry. So when you carry something, you basically hold it with your hands and move from one place to the other. All right. She took my arm and we walked slowly toward the curb. She kept thanking me for my kindness. I think the only word here is the word curb, to check it and to see what's the curb. Curb is basically that platform that separates the road from the sidewalk, like in this picture here. So that's the curb. This one is the curb. It's nothing, I told her. I just try to treat my passengers the way I would want my mother treated. Well, I think only the word treat my passengers. The word treat, if we Google it, like look it up right here in the dictionary, so the word treat can have several meanings, but one of them is to treat someone means to behave towards someone. Basically, how you treat them, how you behave towards them, all right? Oh, you're such a good boy, she said. When we got in the cab, she gave me an address, then asked, could you drive through downtown? Drive through downtown. If you go through something, or if you drive through something, like go through the park or walk through the park, you basically go from one point to the other, like from one side to the other. You go through it, yeah? It's not the shortest way, I answered quickly. The shortest way. Superlative adjective, the shortest way. Oh, I don't mind, she said. I'm in no hurry. I'm on my way to a hospice. She said, I'm in no hurry. That's a good phrase. It means that she has all the time she needs, all the time in the world, basically, yeah, for this particular ride. And then the word hospice. Hospice, we need to look it up. The word hospice, it's a place, basically like a hospital for people who are dying, especially from cancer, for example, yeah? So that means that she has a very serious illness, so she's on her way to a hospice. By the way, the pronunciation is
hospice.
Hospice, all right. I looked in the rear view mirror. Her eyes were glistening. That's a good word. Her eyes were glistening, and the rear view mirror. I would check the word glistening here in the dictionary. So to glisten means what? That means to shine by reflecting light from a wet or smooth surface. Basically, her eyes were shining. She was about to cry, kind of, yeah? Like here, glistened with tears, as you can see, yeah? And then the pronunciation is
glisten.
Glisten, all right. I don't have any family left, she continued. The doctor says I don't have very long. I don't have any family left. It means that all of her relatives died. And I don't have very long, the doctor says, yeah? That means she has a serious illness and she doesn't have that much time to live. I forgot to check the word rear view mirror. Rear view mirror. Basically, that's the word that we can check in the Google Images. Rear view mirror. Rear view mirror, that's the mirror we use in the car to see what's behind us. Like this one here, that's a rear view mirror. So he used that to check and to see, to look at her basically, yeah? All right, the next page. I quietly reached over and shut off the meter. What route would you like me to take? I asked. He reached over. It means he stretched his hand to touch something, like to shut off the meter. It means to turn off, as you can see, taxi or cab meter. That's a device that calculates and counts the kind of the kilometers and the fare, the fee, how much the client needs to pay. The word route is basically the way that this taxi driver will take, yeah? For the next 2 hours, we drove through the city. Again, you see, drove through the city, yeah? She showed me the building where she had once worked as an elevator operator. We drove through the neighborhood where she and her husband had lived when they were newlyweds. Newlyweds, those are the people who just got married. Newlyweds. Why am I using it right now in Google, checking it in Google? Well, I want you to picture that, you know, I want you to see the photo, and this way you will learn this word even better. She had me pull up. That's a good phrase, actually. She had me pull up in front of a furniture warehouse that had once been a ballroom where she had gone dancing as a girl. Wow. So she had me pull up. It means she asked me to stop there, yeah? Sometimes she'd ask me to slow in front of a particular building or corner and would sit staring into the darkness, saying nothing. Staring into the darkness, that's a good phrase as well. Looking like aimlessly and not kind of like blinking, so staring at the camera. I am staring at the camera right now. So she was staring into the darkness. As the first hint of sun was touching the horizon, she suddenly said, "I'm tired, let's go now." That's a long phrase. Here, as the first hint, like the first sign of a sun, touching the horizon, basically showing up in the horizon. She asked to go, yeah? We drove in silence to the address she had given me, all right? It was a low building, like a small nursing home, with a driveway that passed under a portico. So, a portico and nursing home. So, it was a nursing home. That's basically like a hospice, yeah, where people stay when they are ill, yeah. And a portico, that's an interesting thing to check. A portico. What is a portico? A portico is this kind of roof, basically, a small roof with usually with columns, yeah, almost like a porch or front yard, yeah, but covered with a roof, yeah. So as he says here, the driveway that passed under a portico, like it means under this roof, when a car can go and drive under the roof. Two workers came out to the cab as soon as we pulled up. They were caring and intent, watching her every move. They must have been expecting her. I opened the trunk and took the small suitcase to the door. The woman was already seated in a wheelchair. Interesting. A few things here. So, well, first of all, caring and intent, basically showing care, showing attention to her, yeah? I opened the trunk. That's a good one. So it's a car trunk. Car trunk is basically a compartment that every car has where you can store things, and he kept her suitcase right there in the trunk. And she already seated in a wheelchair. Well, I think, guys, you know this word, but anyway, wheelchair, just for you to remember it visually. Wheelchair is a special chair on wheels, as the word says itself, which is used by like disabled or ill people, yeah? How much do I owe you? She asked, reaching into her purse. How much do I owe you? That's a good phrase to remember when you've had a service, given to you, rendered to you. You can ask, how much do I owe you? If you don't know, of course. Nothing, I said. You have to make a living, she answered. Like, you have to make a living. It means you have to, earn some money for you and for your family. But he answered, there are other passengers. Almost without thinking, I bent and gave her a hug. She held onto me tightly. I bent. When somebody bends, they basically lower their body. Yeah, when we can check this one in a dictionary right here. So he bent, but the first form is to bend. To bend. That's the second word, the second form of the verb to bend. To bend means to cause to curve, or like here, to move your body or part of your body so that it is not straight. He bent and gave her a hug. It means he hugged her, yeah? She held onto me tightly. She was holding on to him very tightly, like that's an adverb explaining the type of a movement. So she didn't just hug him, he held onto him tightly. You gave an old woman a little moment of joy, she said. Thank you. I squeezed her hand, then walked into the dim morning light. Behind me, a door shut. It was the sound of the closing of a life. That's an interesting way to say it. So, a little moment of joy, like something happy. Sorry, guys, something happy. Something that she could be happy about, yeah? That was a technical mistake here. So, a little moment of joy. Good phrase here. I squeezed her hand. To squeeze something, like to grab, that's a good word. To squeeze. Squeeze something, yeah? Squeezing means basically holding something or pressing something, especially from all sides. Like you can squeeze something with your hand, yeah? Then, dim morning light. It means not a very bright light, yeah? It was still very early morning. Yeah. I didn't pick up any more passengers that shift. I drove aimlessly, lost in thought. For the rest of that day, I could hardly talk. What if that woman had gotten an angry driver, or one who was impatient to end his shift? What if I had refused to take the run, or had honked once, then driven away? So he was thinking about all the possible things that could have happened. So he didn't pick up any more passengers. That shift, that's a good word. The word shift basically means, like, you know, there is a night shift and day shift. So every portion of work you do, yeah, shift, not as a verb but as a noun. That shift, you notice that determiner, that shift. So we need to find a noun here, shift. Yeah, basically, maybe right here, a group of workers who do a job. But it could be also a time during the day or night, like the period, yeah, right here, or the period of time itself. So it's basically the period of time when you change, when you stop working and then start again. Shift. I drove aimlessly, without aim, aimlessly, lost in thought. He could hardly talk. What if that woman had gotten an angry driver? What if she had gotten an angry driver? Not him, but another guy, yeah? Or one who was impatient to end his shift, like the one who wouldn't drive her through the city, yeah? What if I had refused to take the run? What if he could just say no, yeah, to her? And then, or had honked once, then driven away. He actually waited for her, came to her apartment and helped her with a suitcase. But what if he had just honked once and then driven away? On a quick review, I don't think that I have done anything more important in my life. We are conditioned to think that our lives revolve around great moments, but great moments often catch us unaware, beautifully wrapped in what others may consider a small one. He's basically saying here that people think that our life needs to have some great, grand, big moments, but very often those great moments come in a form of a very small decision to do something good and kind to another person. So he actually says that I don't think that I have done anything more important in my life. Imagine like such an encounter, such a simple situation where he had another client, but it was a very special client and he did the right thing. He basically brought this woman, gave this woman a little moment of joy, as she said herself. What a wonderful story. I hope, guys, you've also enjoyed this one as much as I did. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel right here if you watched till the end. I will also attach this story in a PDF file with all the phrases, all the words here, so you can review it and repeat it, all right? And I will see you in the next episode with another story, with another reading. Stay curious, guys. See you in the next episode.